I seriously didn't know that things got this bad for this Rachel Zegler Snow White movie, but I'm reading this right now and I'm worried about Rachel Zegler's career. I don't see how she comes back from this.
There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMDb for the new Snow White. And it couldn't happen to a better person.
She doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
Controversy around the film began ever since we learned that there would be no Prince Charming because apparently he kissed her without consent, and also no woman needs a man to rescue her. The movie also used CGI for the 7 dwarfs rather than actors because they thought using real people would be offensive.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat. Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
I don't think they're going to buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim. And that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them.
You know they say, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
Do you know, how hard it is to find an attractive young woman in Hollywood who can act and sing? It's not hard. Who just isn't going to offend half the country.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messaging as Snow White sales compete for worst performing a live-action Disney adaptation ever.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed. She's unhappy. The reality is she's just not stable. Like the majority of people in Hollywood, they're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan...
To hire actual dwarf humans. And then we thought we would have CGI magical creatures. How about this? We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarf.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
It's hard to believe how far things have unraveled for Rachel Zegler and the live-action Snow White project. The backlash is widespread, and it's starting to feel like her entire career could be hanging by a thread. Reports of empty theaters across the country, a plummeting IMDb score sitting at 1 out of 10, and relentless criticism online have made this more than just a box office flop. It's turning into a cultural flashpoint. Zegler's off-screen persona hasn't helped. She's been accused of being condescending about the original story and dismissive of beloved characters like Prince Charming, whom the film excluded entirely on grounds that his kiss was non-consensual. The iconic 7 dwarfs, also gone, replaced by bizarre CGI creations due to concerns about stereotyping, which only made things worse. Fans feel the heart of the original was ripped out and replaced with hollow, performative messaging. Her public comments have poured fuel on the fire.
Every one of the 18 hours I am in this Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid. As a Disney...
She's been called smug, overly political, and disconnected from the legacy she was hired to represent, instead of embracing the timeless charm of Snow White. She made headlines by mocking the classic and complaining about wearing the princess gown, which fans saw as biting the hand that fed her. Even her attempts to talk up the film's performance have backfired. Critics say it reeks of denial given the projected financial loss, estimated to be in the hundreds of millions. What's more damaging than the flop itself is the perception that Zegler's attitude actively drove people away. What could have been an average, underperforming release has turned into a public relations disaster. And she's become a symbol of what critics call out-of-touch Hollywood. Phrases like "go woke," "go broke" are circulating, and Disney's decision to modernize the story without preserving its essence is being harshly mocked. Merchandise is reportedly being pulled from shelves, and small business owners say consumers want nothing to do with the brand anymore. The changes weren't seen as progressive, they were viewed as arrogant. Disney tried to put a new spin on a legendary tale, but ended up alienating both traditionalists and casual viewers. Even test audiences purportedly walked out confused and underwhelmed, calling the plot unfocused.
Few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad business. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story about how woman leads revolutionary uprising and she don't need.
And the tone awkwardly serious. And then there's the production itself. A bloated budget north of $250 million, nearly all of which now looks unrecoverable. The visuals are being roasted online. Harsh lighting, odd angles, washed out colors. The acting has been called uninspired, the direction incoherent, and the script riddled with forced messages instead of meaningful storytelling. Rachel Zegler, once hailed as a breakout star, is now being blamed for helping sink one of the biggest properties in Disney's catalog. It didn't help that she often spoke like she resented being part of the film at all. Fans were especially irritated by her jabs at the classic version, dismissing it as outdated and regressive, all while collecting a paycheck from the very legacy she seemed to look down on. People don't just dislike the movie, they resent it. They feel like it was made to deliver a lecture rather than an experience. And as for the infamous final dance scene, many viewers found it confusing and tonally out of place, with comparisons to a cult-themed indie film rather than a Disney fantasy.
The story is Snow White. Snow White bombs, breaks records for the lowest live-action remake opening ever. Let me say that again.
I remember back in 2023 when this was going on and all the little people making videos saying, well, wait, there's so few roles for us in Hollywood. We're being passed over for this. You could have cast seven little
Peter
people.
Dinklage.
It's hard to find a part of the movie that hasn't been criticized, from the plot to the pacing to the costume. Design. Critics agree. This isn't just a failure, it's a collapse. Disney's missteps, both in casting and creative direction, have created one of the most baffling, disastrous reboots in modern Hollywood. And Zegler, once considered a fresh voice for a new generation, now finds herself at the center of what many are calling the worst live-action adaptation Disney has ever produced. Instead of inspiring little girls or uniting audiences around a nostalgic favorite, Snow White has become a warning. Change too much, dismiss what made a classic beloved, and you may find yourself with nothing but scorched earth. The internet isn't just criticizing the film, it's dissecting every aspect of it in meme-filled fury. And unless Disney has a magical fix, this tale may go down as a cautionary fable about the risks of losing touch with your audience.
Rachel Zegler's handling of the Snow White controversy has become a masterclass in what not to do during a press tour. Rather than diffusing criticism, she seemed to pour gasoline on the fire, brushing off concerns and labeling detractors
Or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America
as outdated. It's a bold move, if by bold you mean alienating the very audience you're trying to attract. And as things spiral, it's clear this isn't just a PR hiccup. It's a full-blown media meltdown that Disney never saw coming. Many online aren't convinced Zegler's a victim of unfair targeting. They believe she's steering the ship straight into the storm, all on her own. She's been busy reposting compliments from her fans like she's on a victory lap, casually dismissing critical voices as relics of the past. If there was a handbook on destroying goodwill before a film even premieres, she's practically writing it in real time.
Your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this
be a leader as a female and fall in love and be rescued by a prince. Like, that's incongruous. Bull. That's only the left's version of what it means to be a strong woman or female empowerment.
I don't need a front row ticket. It's happening everywhere all at once for free. Inside Disney, it's reportedly chaos. The PR team likely wishes they could roll the whole thing back, but it's too late. The movie itself is catching heat too hard. It's not just a creative reimagining. It's been accused of trading classic charm for Anthony's messaging. Viewers say it doesn't feel like a fairy tale. It feels like a list of bullet points from a corporate diversity memo brought to life, with little subtlety or cohesion instead of merging old and new with care. The film feels like a clunky mashup of social commentary and forced empowerment slogans. And somehow it's managed to irritate both ends of the political spectrum. Rare feat. Critics have labeled it more sermon than story. And the script, they say, reads like it was assembled by a committee, with every group trying to make their point louder than the last. Meanwhile, Disney's original promise was that this Snow White would honor her bravery. But fans are quick to point out that no one remembers her pausing to explain modern ideology to woodland creatures. Gap between legacy charm and present-day agendas is jarring. Audiences are noticing. Bad reviews, viral memes, and empty theaters are painting a grim picture. Internally, Disney is reportedly panicking. Merchandise sales are down. Some stores are pulling Snow White items entirely. A nickname has even taken root among staff: Snow. Wrong, and that's the polite version. Budget-wise, the numbers are staggering. Production ballooned past $250 million, and that's not even counting the ad spend. Marketing muscle couldn't hide the cracks in the foundation. CEO Bob Iger and top executives are now facing serious pressure. Investors are losing patience, with some execs allegedly brushing up their resumes in case the blowback shakes up the corporate hierarchy. The collapse of this project is starting to look like a warning siren for the entire industry. There are whispers of hasty and re-edits, last-ditch PR stunts, and even legal maneuvers behind the scenes. Deleted scenes, pulled promo campaigns, and internal finger-pointing suggest Disney underestimated how explosive the backlash could become. Now they're trying to play catch-up on a runaway train. Zoom out, and you'll see the ripple effect across Hollywood. Rival studios are taking notes closely. Disney, the titan of family entertainment, can fumble a legacy property this hard. Nobody's immune. But more than that, it's sparking a wider debate. Are we finally reaching remake fatigue? Shiny? Visuals can't save a poorly told story, and modern reboots aren't fooling audiences with half-hearted nostalgia and politically tailored dialogue. Fans are tired of having their childhood classics repackaged and diluted. They're demanding originality, authenticity, and above all, respect for what made the original special. This Snow White debacle might be the clearest signal yet. Not everything needs a 2025 spin. And if you're going to try, it better be done with heart, not just haps. So, what's the takeaway? Maybe don't alienate the people who buy the tickets. Maybe don't turn a fairy tale into a soapbox. And maybe don't give your lead actor free rein to mock the source material mid-promo. From test audience warnings to marketing missteps, Disney ignored the red flags. Now it's all blowing up on social media, at the box office, and behind closed doors. This isn't just a box office bomb. It's a cultural moment. And unless something drastic changes, it may end up as a cautionary tale taught in every studio boardroom for years to come. So stay tuned, because this isn't over. Not even close.